Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ultimate Fashion History with me, Amanda Halley.
And the very first episode of What We're Into for 2021. I know, right? These usually drop once a month, so why am I only getting the first of What We're Into for the year to you in April? Because I've been working as hard as Mildred Pierce. It's been a great year for me so far because on top of all my regular jobs, a couple of really big freelance projects came in, which I am loving, but UFH is my passion project, it's my hobby, and it doesn't pay anything, and so paying jobs always have to take precedence, you understand, right? But I was so touched and delighted that so many lovely people have emailed me over the past 3 months saying, Amanda, where's my What We're Into? And I had to get back in the saddle, especially as there's so much I've been dying to tell you about. And also, it's spring, and I'm always into spring. And we know it's spring because of this. This came up on my feed, I'm sure it came up on all of yours as well, but if not, do you know what this beautiful pastel graphic actually is? It's an aerial shot of the tulip fields in Amsterdam. And here's another one, isn't that gorgeous? I'd love this as a print on a caftan. And look at this, which sort of de-abstracts these tulip fields, so you can really see just how incredible they are. So beautiful. Let's all celebrate beauty in 2021 because 2020 was really kind of ugly, wasn't it? Before we get our teeth into this episode, just to remind you all that I don't do comments here on YouTube, but I'll leave my contact details, and if you'd like to comment publicly or share something publicly, join the Ultimate Fashion History Facebook group. It's always spring break over there. Alright, let's start with some fashion. Falling leaves? Halle, it's Spring Woman. Yes, I know, but we're just looking at the Fall 21 collections, right? And my favourite so far, without a doubt, is Greta Constantine, which is a line of women's wear designed by Kirk Pickergill and Stephen Wong from Toronto. And I'm spending so much of my time in Canada these days that I love that a Canadian label is getting so much attention, and quite rightly. Their collection for fall was all structured satin and tantalizing taffetas in rich jeweled tones that are perfect for the last quarter of the year. And is it just me, but this collection rather reminds me of Tamara de Lempicka paintings and her unique way of rendering textiles. It's all very gorgeous, isn't it? But terribly expensive, and quite rightly. So, you know what's coming next. Yes, let's get the look for less. Let's take one of my favourite looks from the collection, this voluminous, voluptuous blouse with enormous sleeves, teamed with a full skirt in taffeta teal and gold slouchy boots. Is it just me, but there's something about this collection that, to my mind anyway, evokes Yves Saint Laurent's famous 1976 Russian collection. Anyway, this is all expensive stuff, so let's get the look for less. Check this out. Studio Maria on Etsy make these gorgeous voluminous blouses in a variety of colours for only $79. Again on Etsy, Dear Curves do a very similar skirt to the Greta Constantine original for $115. For that shiny pink cummerbund, I went menswear and found this for $29 on Trend Him. And check out these boots, $14.99, reduced from $79 at Ami Clubwear. And what have you got? Yes, the look for less. I know it's not identical, but we're playing with the same ideas in terms of palette, volume, and that luxurious feel. I love it. Well, I am so into how much bubblegum pink we're seeing this season. Yes, we saw it on the runway for Spring-Summer 2021, but you never really know how runway trends will relate to real-life retail. Will people embrace? But bubblegum pink is everywhere I look, and I love it. On women's wear, for my gentlemen out there, and look, there's Kate Middleton stepping out just last week in bubblegum pink, and Here's me staying at home in bubblegum pink, and I'll tell you more about the label I'm wearing later in the episode. The Nike Kobe sneaker for 2021 just launched in bubblegum pink, and you don't need a trend analyst to tell you why bubblegum pink is so popular, right? We went through so much last year. It was so dismal, so scary, and what could be more positive and playful and fun than bubblegum pink? And I think we all need a little fun in our lives right now, don't we? And I know someone who'd approve. Think pink. Well, these shows aren't new, but they were new to us, and we've just binged all the seasons of Back in Time for Dinner, where a modern British family are sent back in time to live for 6 weeks, decade by decade, in the 20th century. The focus is on food. That is the optic through which we look at social history in these wonderful shows. This series spawned many spin-offs like Back in Time for the Weekend and the lovely Back in Time for Christmas, all hosted by the delightful Giles Corran, and they're all on YouTube. But I think that the most eye-opening of the series, at least for me, was this one. Back in Time for Brixton, where a contemporary British family of African Caribbean descent are sent back in time first to 1948 to experience what their immediate ancestors, the original Windrush generation of African Caribbean immigrants to Britain, experienced. And it was a very different series to the others, which were quite light-hearted. First 1,000, and then through the 50s and 60s, tens of thousands of African Caribbean immigrants arrived in Great Britain lured on false Commonwealth promises of well-paid jobs and a better life, families giving up everything they knew based on the idea that they'd be helping the motherland rebuild in the post-war era, only to be housed at first in underground air raid shelters, dozens of people to a room, and then forced into squalid rented accommodation that the modern-day family found to be absolutely shocking and deplorable and distressing. And of course, as with the other series, the family moves through the decades, and it was really, really interesting to look at British social history through the optic of the African Caribbean experience. Highly recommended. Anyway, if you haven't caught the Back in Time ... series, I recommend them all. And I think you guys will really enjoy the fashion because, as well as eating and living in the past, everybody has to dress decade by decade as they would have done in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, and so on. And I think there's an Australian and Canadian version of the show as well. What else am I into? Don't know why, but I am currently in love with vintage commercial cutaway art. I just think it's the most tremendous thing of all time, and I've become a bit obsessed with it. Of course, it's clever and it's cute, and I love how everything turns into a doll's house. But there's something else about it that I'm currently finding incredibly pleasing aesthetically. Maybe it's because it's so organized and precise, and the world hasn't been very organized or precise these last months, has it? Look at this breakdown of a Broadway theatre. All of these lovely layers, like populated slices of cake. I love it. Anyway, speaking of the past year, there's one aspect of COVID life that I bet we can all relate to. Amazon boxes. I think I've spent most of the past 12 months breaking down bloody Amazon boxes. I wish I had the talent of this lady. She's called Monomi Ono, and she uses her old Amazon boxes as the medium for her incredible sculptures. And they really are incredible. Look at the detail on this pair of sneakers. Look at this car, look at the engine. And check out her Millennial Falcon. Look at that attention to detail, it's so extraordinary. And because I am perpetually greedy and in need of a snack, I love her Amazon box candy bar. And her packet of chips, how does she do it? What talent? Ooh, here's a story you might like. An 18th century apartment in Paris was being refurbished, and when the walls were stripped to the plaster, they discovered these astounding satirical doodles from the French Revolution. Can you imagine it? They are so beautiful, aren't they? They almost remind me of Rauschenberg, that absence of presence and presence of absence vibe. Happily, the apartment owners are keeping them as wall art, and quite rightly. Wouldn't you love this guillotine on your wall? What an incredible find. I'm so jealous. What else are we into? Have you heard that MGM have rebooted their lion? Yes, Leo is now CGI, which of course is much kinder than having a studio lion, and he sort of appears out of the fog before his impressive roar. Google the new intro, the new logo, so you can see it. I think it's an improvement, although Bo thinks it could be improved even further. Speaking of rebranding, we all know this sign, don't we, in all of its 1980s, 1990s looking glory? Well, Burger King are rebranding, and this is their new sign. Look familiar? It should do, as it's the original Burger King logo that I grew up with in the 70s. In fact, they're taking everything back to the 70s, but making it even more 70s with this groovy, trippy typography in the orange, green and mustard tones beloved of the decade. Tell you who else is going back to the 70s? Dean Street Press, my husband Rupert's publishing company. This isn't shilling, this is sharing, because you guys will so get this. I'm so excited to tell you about these book jackets. This month, Rupert is republishing the first batch of murder mysteries from author Anne Maurice, who was the aunt to actor Jameson Edward Fox, and her detective is an actress in the 1970s. And what we've done with the covers is this, to really go full on with that sort of 70s deco revival book jacket, complete with cheesy photography. I knew you guys would get it. They look so authentic, don't they? I love them. Boy, Rupert had fun putting these together. And he stayed on theme for the print ad, using some of my dad, David Wolfe's original 1970s commercial artwork for the print ad. I'm not shilling, I'm sharing. I will leave a link to the Anne Maurice books. They are out this month, and I really think it's the coolest campaign that Dean Street Press has ever launched. I'm so proud of it. What have I been listening to? I've been listening to a lot of music from the Quattrocento, the early Italian Renaissance. It's striking the right note. It's not as exotic and rhythmic as medieval music, nor as bombastic as Northern Renaissance stuff. It's gentle and has a sweetness about it that, as I say, is just striking the right note for me. And there's loads of it on Spotify and YouTube. What else? Oh, check this out. These incredible new homes in Mexico, designed by architect Daniel Zozaya. I think they are extraordinarily lovely, sort of as if troglodytes were chic. They probably were très chic for all we know. These buildings also remind me of Ape City in the original Planet of the Apes movie, which even as a small child, I instinctively knew was also très chic. Well, those of you who watch What We're Into regularly will know that I've spent the past year trying to transform my own dining room into a Hollywood Regency restaurant, complete with extravagant mid-century meals, right? Well, a few months ago, I bought the book that is turning this demented fantasy of mine into something of a reality. And it's by Vincent Price, and I'm sure a lot of you already know all about it. A Treasury of Great Recipes by Vincent and his wife of the time, Mary. It was reissued, I think, in 2015 to mark its 50th anniversary. Basically, it's recipes from Vincent and Mary's favorite restaurants around the world. But it's from 1965, right? So it has that mid-century vibe that I know you all love. Well, some of you do, I know that, I certainly do. This book is amazing. It has facsimiles of menus from these wonderful mid-century restaurants. Beautiful photographs of restaurants like this. Imagine You get to meet the maitre d's, because of course you need the inside gen. And as you read it and you read through these recipes, you really hear Vincent's voice. You even get to see inside his home. He even shows you the correct way to fold a napkin artistically. Lots of pictures of Vincent. There he is inspecting, there he is supping, there he is pouring. The recipes are absolutely great. We've tried quite a few. And now for something completely different. I loved this piece of news. The oldest cave painting ever found in Australia has just been discovered. It's a whopping 17,300 years old. And can you make out what it is? If I gave you one guess, I bet you'd get it right. Of course, it's a kangaroo. I love this. But I don't love that I only just found out about this place. How did I, the lover of all things mid-century, the lover of everything Hollywood Regency, everything kitsch, not know about? The Madonna Inn. I'm sure a lot of you already know about it and have stayed there. I'm so jealous. It was created by a man called Alex Madonna in the late 1950s. It's in a town called San Luis Obispo in California, and wait till you see inside. Hollywood Regency meets, yes, bubblegum pink. A lot of bubblegum pink. Look at that dining room. This is the dining room of my dreams, rivaled only by the bar. Swiss Chalet meets Barbie at the Carousel Bar in New Orleans. Look at those bar stools. Each bedroom is themed, of course it is, from the old Wild West to this lovely caveman theme, although when we go to stay there, note the when, Rupert, not if, when, hint hint. I think I'd plump for a suitably garish Hollywood Regency number. Here's the patio, and look at that candy-coloured patio furniture. And you all know I'm a bit partial to this sort of carry-on myself. Oh, I need to be at the Madonna Inn so badly, but until then we can all enjoy its online gift shop, which sells its famous goblets and even more famous cakes. Now to a very different sort of hotel. Due to open to guests in 2027, the first space hotel in the known universe is almost a reality. For a trifling $5 million, you can stay in a suite that revolves around the Earth. And of course, at the Space Hotel, it's all about the view. And what a view it will be, but not one that I would enjoy. I would find $5 million to buy my way out of staying at the Space Hotel. How scary. Now from a hotel of the future to a hotel of the past. This one, the Prince of Wales Hotel in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Last weekend, Rupert and I actually went away for the weekend, yes. The first time we've been away since October, and I was so excited we may as well have been going into outer space. The Prince of Wales is a charming, turn-of-the-century hotel with all of its original fixtures and fittings, stained glass and beautiful statues and roses everywhere. And look at this pool. Nobody else was swimming. We had it to ourselves. It was a complete delight, really like going back in time. And had so many details, from the hundreds of Edwardian portraits to this beautiful little brass chef mounted on the doors to the restaurant. Oh, it was such a delight. If you ever get up to Niagara-on-the-Lake, do it. It was so lovely. Let's do some more fashion, and let me tell you about a label that has literally changed my life these past couple of months. This label, it's called PHILOMENA, the creation of textile and clothing designer Jean Marie Clark. And believe me, Jean Marie is as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside, and here she is. And she created her label, named in honor of her mother Philomena, to make every woman feel beautiful. Born in India and trained in Italy, Jean Marie's sustainably sourced textiles include cotton from India, silk from Italy, block printed by hand and full of vibrant color. Based in Arizona, Jean Marie operates on a one-size-fits-all philosophy, and it really does. Everything fits everyone beautifully. Be it her beautiful caftan dresses or coats. I love this stuff. They're sort of kaftan-like, but unlike traditional kaftans, which tend to hide a woman's body, because of extremely clever tailoring, these kaftans actually show off those curves. Her gowns come in 3 lengths, maxi, as you see here, mini, great for the beach or with pants, or midi. So what I'm doing with my Pax Philomena dresses, I'm wearing the midi length with tights and boots to go out and about, and then wearing the maxi length for working at home and relaxing. I'd been feeling so blah about myself, what with COVID and my little, actually not so little, weight gain during lockdown, yet wearing Pax Philomena, I feel like myself again. The housester is back in the house. And let's not forget my boys out there. Jean Marie also has a terrific line of shirts and shorts for guys. How perfect for summer, and what a way of shaking off that COVID blues. I am so into vintage hotel labels. I've decided they're the most beautiful thing in the world, and I really love them above all things. And I so want this book. It's called World Tour, Vintage Hotel Labels from the collection of Gaston Louis Vuitton. But it's like $300. Too expensive. But doesn't it look beautiful? And so does this book. This is coming out later in the year by the same author, Francesca Mattioli, Extraordinary Voyages of Louis Vuitton. And look at some of the photography in the book. This is the stuff of dreams. I want to go back in time to travel. Well, I guess it's time for the food of the month, the cocktail of the month, and the designer of the month. Well, it's no surprise that the food of the month comes from Vincent Price's Treasury of Recipes, but it might come as a surprise that I've chosen this one, his recipe for spaghetti and meat sauce. People, you must believe me when I tell you, this is the most delicious meat sauce we have ever tasted. I don't even like spaghetti and meat sauce. I don't like the meat sauce. I like my creamy tomato sauce on pasta, or creamy mimi, as the kids call it. This sauce changed my life. It has an ingredient that might scare some of you. Don't be scared. You don't really taste it, but it changes everything. If you're interested and you can't find the recipe online, email me and I'll send it to you. The cocktail of the month is this one. Have you ever seen anything pinker or prettier? It's called the cactus flower. And disclaimer, I haven't actually made this, but the fixins are on order. It's made with mezcal, ginger liqueur, prickly pear syrup, that's what I've got on order, and watermelon. You know what? I don't even care what it tastes like. I need to be drinking bubblegum pink cocktails. And the designer of the month? Oh, lovely Oleg Cassini was an April baby, and let's just remind ourselves why we love Oleg Cassini and why Jackie loved him too. Well, I hope you enjoyed this very pink and spring-like episode of What We're Into. Thank you for being so patient. I'll be back very soon with more on the ultimate fashion history. Until then, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, join the Facebook group, and stay pretty in pink. Love to you all. I'll be back.